Welcome, my family. Before we jump in, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. I'd also love to know, where are you watching from and what time is it there? Please hype me on YouTube. Thanks. You don't really think about how much space there is inside a Costco until you're the one watching it, aisle by aisle, hour by hour, waiting for something to go wrong. Most people think loss prevention is about chasing shoplifters or calling the cops on people stealing vitamins, but it's not. Not really. What I do is sit in a concrete room behind the tire center, watching a wall of monitors glow with camera feeds. I take notes, I flag patterns, I report what I see, and I wait. My name's Marissa Clay. I'm 34. I took this job almost 2 years ago, just after my divorce finalized. I thought it'd be temporary, something to keep the rent paid and my son Caleb in school while I sorted myself out. But things don't always move as fast as you want them to. And truthfully, this job gave me structure when everything else fell apart. The Oxnard store is massive. It stretches wider than it is tall, all exposed beams and polished concrete. You can hear everything echo. Shopping carts, pallet jacks, intercom beeps. The lights hum like they're trying to say something just out of reach. There's no softness here. No place to hide. At first I found that comforting. We get your standard cases. Guy tries to return a TV he never bought. Woman pockets makeup wipes under her baby carrier. Most people aren't clever. They're just desperate. You can feel it. But the ones who scared me weren't the ones stealing. It was the ones who didn't take anything, who didn't talk, who just came back, again and again. There was this man, mid-40s maybe, wore a faded green windbreaker that looked like it had lived through 5 rainstorms too many. Every visit, he came in between 7:40 and 7:45 p.m., always alone. Never brought a cart, never looked around. He would walk straight to aisle 117, where we keep the emergency survival kits and travel-size gear, and stand in front of the 2-person emergency bag for about 5 minutes. He wouldn't touch anything else, just hold the zipper handle between his fingers, like he was testing its weight. Then he'd let go and walk out. Didn't buy a single thing in all the times I tracked him. But one night, mid-February I remember because the Valentine's candy aisle was nearly empty, he did something different. He whispered something. I couldn't catch the words even on the mic feed. It was soft, like a prayer. Then he looked up, straight into camera 14, and smiled. Not a full grin, not warm or inviting, just a small twitch of the mouth, like he knew I was watching and wanted to let me know I was seen too. I flagged it, logged it, compiled timestamps, showed Greg, my supervisor. His response? Yeah, creepy, but not illegal. So I kept watching. Then came the woman. She started showing up every Friday. Same time, just before closing. She had this long dark hair that looked like it had been brushed but not styled. She wore flat shoes, gray slacks, a blouse that could have passed for a school teacher's. Every visit she'd head to the blanket section, specifically the red fleece 3-packs. She didn't touch them, just stood near them, staring. One Friday, I went out there and asked if she needed help. She didn't flinch, didn't turn toward me. She just said, "This aisle used to be a hallway, years ago," and walked away. I searched the building's blueprints after that, checked with a guy from facilities who'd worked there 12 years. I asked if the layout had ever changed. He said, "Not really. We repainted some of the signs in 2014, but the aisles have always been numbered the same." I still don't know what she meant. And then came the boy. That one stopped me cold. I was reviewing overnight footage, half asleep in the chair with my coffee cooling beside me, when I saw a kid in a yellow hoodie pass through the snack aisle. It wasn't just the color, it was the way the sleeve sagged a little, the tiny bleach mark on the left shoulder, the thumbhole Caleb had torn into the cuff when he was nervous. It was his hoodie, the one we lost at a bus stop 3 months earlier. I was sure of it. I stood up and watched the monitor, switching angles as fast as I could, trying to follow the boy. He turned left near the paper goods and vanished. I thought maybe he went down the next aisle, but he never showed on any other camera. I rewound, played it again. He wasn't on the footage, only I was, walking after someone who wasn't there. I heard my own footsteps in the audio, but not his. Greg said it was lag in the feed, that the camera probably skipped a few frames, but it didn't skip me. That's when I started compiling the visitor list. 10 people, all regulars, all predictable, always walked past the same zones. Aisle 117, the fleece section, the emergency exits. I printed out screenshots, traced the way each of them glanced toward camera 14, and when I layered the photos, their lines of sight formed a shape. Not a person. Not exactly. Just the suggestion of one. A face. Watching. I didn't know what I expected when I layered those images. Maybe a pattern of movement. Some proof I wasn't losing my grip. But what I got was worse. Something almost human. A pale V where the eye lines intersected. A mouth shape that wasn't smiling but looked like it had been. Something that had seen me before I ever knew it was there. I kept the printouts locked in my bottom drawer. Never showed Greg again. He already thought I was one stress call away from getting transferred to tire returns. Over the next 2 weeks, I kept tracking them. The windbreaker man came at his usual time, 7:42 p.m., on the dot. Always touched the same zipper, always whispered something I couldn't hear. Camera 14 caught him glancing up at me again. Same slight smile, like a nod, like he was saying, "You again." The dark-haired woman showed up every Friday. She never touched the blankets, she just stood, still, staring. And when she left, she'd always pass by register 4 without a glance toward the exit. And that boy, he never showed again on the monitors, but I started catching glimpses in the corner of my eye. Once I was in the break room pouring stale coffee when I swore I saw a yellow hoodie disappear around the corner of the dry goods entrance. I rushed out, heart hammering, but no one was there. Nothing. I stopped telling people what I saw. Then the glitch happened. It was a Tuesday, around 6:30 p.m. Still daylight. Rain coming down so hard the ceiling pinged like hail. We had a steady crowd, families grabbing dinner kits, retirees comparing vitamins. I was monitoring aisle 117 just out of routine when the feed cut out. It wasn't a blackout. Every other camera worked fine. Just camera 14, completely black. I tried refreshing the feed. Nothing. I called maintenance over the intercom. They checked the unit. Lens intact, wiring clean, power steady. Should be working, the guy told me. It's brand new. Try resetting it, I said. He unplugged it, plugged it back in. The feed flickered to life and showed nothing but static for 2 full minutes. At exactly 7:42 p.m., it cleared up. The windbreaker man was standing in the aisle, head tilted, holding the zipper, and for the first time he spoke loud enough for the mic to catch. I leaned in and turned up the volume. He whispered, "It only works when she's watching." Then he let go of the bag and walked out. That night I went home shaking. I didn't eat. I barely spoke to Caleb. I just sat at my kitchen table staring at the folder of screenshots and asking myself one question over and over. What is it? The next morning there was an envelope in my mailbox, no postage, no return address. Inside was a neatly folded red fleece blanket, the exact brand we stocked. On the corner, someone had stuck a piece of masking tape. Drawn on it was a simple smiley face. No eyes. Just the mouth. After the red fleece showed up, I did what any logical person would do. I took it to my supervisor. I brought the envelope. I showed Greg the smiley tape. His reaction? A shrug. Probably someone playing a prank. We get weirdos here all the time. Greg, someone left this at my house. They knew where I lived. He leaned back in his squeaky office chair, pinching the bridge of his nose. Marissa, you're a good employee. But if you start seeing shadows in the break room too, I can't protect your hours. That was the end of it. He filed nothing. No report, no camera pull, no escalation. so I took it home. At night, I locked my bedroom door. I stopped checking the cameras after 8 p.m. I told Caleb to stay close. No playdates, no late homework club. I knew how I sounded. Paranoid, overwhelmed, the product of too many late shifts and not enough sleep. But then Caleb started waking up crying. At first I thought it was just stress. His dad had stopped showing up to visitation weekends again. But then he started saying the same thing word for word. "Mom, someone's walking through the hallway but they don't have a face." He'd curl into my arms, shaking, the back of his Spider-Man pajamas soaked with sweat. I checked every room. I checked every lock, every time we were alone. One night I stayed up watching the hallway from the couch just to prove there was nothing there. At 3:12 a.m., my front door creaked. Not loudly, just creaked, like pressure had shifted against it. I crept over, looked through the peephole. No one. But lying on the welcome mat was a yellow hoodie. The exact same one Caleb lost at the bus stop months ago. Same size, same bleach mark, same torn cuff, folded, with another piece of masking tape on the hood. This time, no smile, just one drawn eye. Looking up, I burned it in a metal trash can in the backyard. It rained that night. By the morning, my security camera feed was gone. System error. SD card wiped. I pulled Caleb from school the next day, took him to his grandmother's, told her I needed a few days. She didn't ask questions. Bless her for that. I drove back to Oxnard, parked in front of Costco, and just sat in my car, engine running, watching the building. And you know what I saw? That same boy in the yellow hoodie. Not inside, outside. Standing behind the concrete wall near the loading docks, just barely visible between the cracks of the pallet stacks. He wasn't moving, just watching. He looked directly at the building, directly where camera 14 would be mounted, and then slowly, as if he knew I was watching, he turned and walked into the lot. I got out and followed, but when I turned the corner, he was gone. Not behind a car, not ducking between carts, just gone. I walked back inside, badge still clipped to my belt, and went straight to the monitors. The camera feeds were normal, except camera 14, which had gone black again, just like before. When I returned to my car 10 minutes later, something was waiting on the windshield, a Costco membership envelope. Inside was a small square of red fleece, folded around a receipt, nothing purchased, just a timestamp. 7:42 p.m. The days that followed blurred. I called out sick, twice. Greg left a voicemail about protocol and responsibility to the floor, but I ignored it. I didn't sleep, not properly. At night, every creak of my apartment felt deliberate, like a choice made by something that wanted me to hear it. Caleb was still at my mother's house, safe for now, but I couldn't shake the fear that even that safety had an expiration date. The worst part wasn't the fear, it was the certainty. Certainty that whatever this was, it was real. And worse, it was structured, planned, recurring. Someone, or something, was watching patterns the same way I had, showing up at fixed times, moving through exact aisles, returning familiar objects to unfamiliar places. Every action felt like a response, not random, intentional, calculated. I couldn't leave it alone anymore, so I went back. I drove to Costco 2 hours early, parked near the employee entrance. I had my badge, I had access. Nobody would question me. I wore my LP windbreaker again and told myself I wasn't doing this out of obsession. I was doing this for my son, because whatever had attached itself to me, started tracking me, was circling him now too. The store was calm, fluorescents humming, forklifts buzzing like lazy insects. The evening staff clocked in slowly. I walked in through the security office and sat back at the console. Greg wasn't there yet. I rewound the cameras. I needed to see something that confirmed I wasn't unraveling. So I queued up the last 5 visits from each of the recurring figures. Windbreaker man, blanket woman, yellow hoodie, all layered against camera 14's footage. And then I noticed something I hadn't before. Every time the man in the green windbreaker visited aisle 117, he paused at the same second. 7:42, 17 p.m. Exact. Every time the woman approached the red fleece stack, she froze at 7:44:04 p.m. And every time the boy in the yellow hoodie appeared, on the few times the cameras caught him, he moved into view at 7:46:31 p.m. Each one, like clockwork, 3 timestamps, 3-minute gaps. It wasn't random, it was a loop, like a time sequence, a pattern meant to be watched, meant to be discovered, like someone testing observation, seeing if I'd piece it together. So I did something reckless. I printed the timestamps, loaded them into the camera software, and created a side-by-side overlay of each visit. Playback mode, synchronized. The screen filled with motion. 3 windows. 3 people walking in parallel. Pausing. Staring. Turning. At different points in the store, yes, but in synchronized behavior. And then, at the final second of the last clip, all 3 figures turned their heads toward the camera. Toward me. At the exact same second, my breath caught in my throat. Then the feed went black. Again. And the monitor flickered. Not just one. All of them. Every screen blinked twice. Off, on, off, on. Then static, and over the speakers the store intercom clicked on by itself. No one was near the mic. No one had pressed a button. But the speakers played a voice I hadn't heard before. A whisper. "You see us now." I ran. Out of the security office, down the back corridor, through the concrete halls that never seemed to echo until I was alone in them. I had no plan, no destination, just an overwhelming pull, like something was calling me forward and I had no say in the matter. I ended up at aisle 117. Of course I did. The survival kits were lined neatly, the zipper bag untouched. The lights above flickered, just faint enough to notice. The aisle was empty. Or, it looked empty. I stepped forward, slowly, listening for footsteps, breathing. Then I saw it, on the floor, directly beneath the emergency kit. A red fleece square, folded, masking tape on top. This time, no face drawn, just one word in thick black ink: stay. I backed away. I turned to leave, but at the other end of the aisle, the boy in the yellow hoodie, motionless, just like before. I blinked, and now, beside him, the woman with dark hair staring blankly ahead. Behind me, footsteps, heavy, measured, one step at a time. I turned slowly. The man in the green windbreaker, smiling. He raised his hand and pointed to the shelf, the survival bag. I looked back to the aisle entrance. Gone. Both of them. The woman. The boy. Disappeared like ghosts into the merchandise. It was just me. And him. And the whisper that followed. You saw it. You kept watching. That makes you part of it now. I grabbed the fleece square and bolted out of the aisle. Didn't clock out. Didn't tell Greg. Just ran to my car and drove to my mother's. I packed our things. Told Caleb we were leaving. We moved out of Oxnard that weekend. I left no forwarding address. Blocked the store number. Changed my phone. For a while, things were quiet. But last Sunday, while shopping in a different Costco, Santa Maria, I stopped cold near the fleece blankets. Because there she was, the woman. Same hair, same stare, holding a red fleece in her hand like she never left. And in the next aisle, the boy, yellow hoodie, turning his head up toward the ceiling camera, slowly, deliberately, staring straight at me. We think surveillance gives us control, that if we watch long enough, we'll see what's wrong, what's dangerous, what shouldn't be there. But what if the act of watching is what lets them in? Some patterns aren't meant to be followed. Some faces are best left unrecognized. Curiosity doesn't always lead to answers. Sometimes it leads to invitation, and once you see them, they never stop seeing you. I used to believe every space could be transformed with the right frame, both literally and metaphorically. That was the designer in me talking, back when I ran my interior design studio in Charlotte. High-end homes, curated furniture, moody lighting, just the right amount of imperfection to sell authenticity. I gave rich people the illusion of taste. But real life doesn't come with good lighting or matching textures. When Dad had his stroke, I packed up my life in 2 days. No clients, no invoices, no goodbye drinks. I left behind 15 years of work, 2 half-decorated lofts, and a city I never fully belonged to. I moved into his creaky colonial in Newport News, the house I swore I'd never live in again. Grief is strange, it doesn't scream. It whispers into everything. The smell of your old bedroom, the rattle of the AC you thought he'd finally replaced, the emptiness of coffee brewed for one. After a few months, the money started thinning out. I needed a job with health benefits, and Costco was hiring. The position they offered? Home decor and framing department. The irony didn't even sting. I was too tired. At first, it wasn't so bad. People brought in their baby photos, their college diplomas, sometimes their dogs dressed like ballerinas. I gave them frame recommendations and watched them nod like I still had some magic in my fingers. It was quiet work. Honest. Nothing like Charlotte. And then came the man with the painting. He looked like someone I'd seen once in a hotel lobby. Mid-40s, flannel shirt, designer shoes that were too clean for the dust clinging to the canvas he carried. He said his name was Mark Dwyer. "Can you fix this?" he asked. The canvas was faded, edges fraying, probably a landscape. Might have once hung in a grandmother's hallway. "My sister passed a few years ago. I found this in her things," he added. "We can definitely clean and reframe it," I said. He smiled, soft and sad. "She used to love antiques. Said things with cracks had more soul." I liked that. I told him so. We talked as I logged the order. He said he'd just moved back from overseas. Vague but believable. He seemed thoughtful. He thanked me, left, and for a while that was that. Or so I thought. A week later, I was shelving faux leather albums when I spotted him by the book section. Mark, same jacket, standing too still for someone browsing. He was staring at the self-help display, the kind with titles like Unwind Your Mind and How to Let Go of What Was Never Yours. He didn't see me watching, or maybe he did, but he left before I could say anything. A few days after that, he showed up again at the counter. "Just checking on the frame," he said. I pulled up his order. "Still in processing, should be ready Monday." He smiled. "No rush. I just wanted to hear your voice again. You've got one of those calm, old-fashioned voices. People don't sound like that anymore." It was a weird thing to say. I laughed awkwardly, unsure how to respond. He left without ordering anything else. Later that week, I found a cup on my counter, still warm. From that coffee shop on Main I always stop at before work. Oat milk latte, no sugar, my exact order, no name, no receipt. I asked around. No one saw who left it. That's when something shifted in my gut. That quiet tightening. Like your body knows a moment before your mind catches up. Next day, Mark came again. This time, holding a cracked mirror frame. Baroque, heavy, with the silver paint chipped in places. "Found it at an estate sale," he said. "Thought of you?" "Of me?" I asked, confused. He hesitated. "I mean, your style, the kind of things you probably like. Sorry if that's weird." "It's fine," I said automatically. But it wasn't. That night, I typed his name into every search engine I could think of. Nothing. No obituary for a sister. No Facebook. No LinkedIn. No digital footprint. The phone number he'd written down for the order? Disconnected. I brought it up to my manager. He shrugged. Probably just some guy with a crush. I tried to believe that. I wanted to believe that. But the next morning, I found a note under the counter, wedged behind the register drawer. "You don't have to pretend you don't remember me. You saw me before Charlotte, too." It wasn't a compliment. It was a statement. I didn't sleep that night. Around 2 a.m., I found myself in the attic, digging through old boxes. Dust in my throat, the smell of mothballs and wood rot. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, just a feeling. A thread I knew existed but couldn't name. Then I saw it, a gray plastic storage bin labeled Cooper Creek, 1999. Our old summer cabin, Dad's idea of bonding before middle school. There were photos, sun-faded, edges curled, of me, Dad, some cousins, a few family friends. One of them stopped me cold, a group shot by the river. I must have been 8 or 9, everyone smiling. But in the back, half-shadowed, was a boy I didn't recognize. Older than us, maybe 17, 18, standing behind a tree, not smiling, staring, same eyes, same face. Mark. I pulled the photo closer. He wasn't part of our group, wasn't in any of the other pictures. But there he was, like he had just inserted himself. I flipped the photo. Dad's handwriting read, Creek Trail, July 1999. I hadn't seen that face since. At least I didn't think I had. But now I wasn't sure. The canvas Mark brought in had been ready for days. I hadn't dared unwrap it, assuming it was just another faded landscape. But now I had to know. I removed the frame, flipped it over. The backing paper peeled back like old skin. It wasn't a painting. It was a reverse glass print, old school. The image was vague, distorted through the reflection, but behind the print, tucked against the wood frame, was a folded photo. My hands were shaking when I pulled it out. It was me. A candid shot from Cooper Creek. I was standing by the porch in a pink windbreaker, looking off to the side, probably unaware the photo was being taken. It wasn't a photo from Dad's albums. I never remembered it being taken. I filed a report with store security, showed them the note, the coffee cup, the disconnected phone number. They nodded, took it seriously enough to alert management. They offered to shift me off the sales floor. I said yes. I haven't worked the framing desk since. You'd think that would be the end of it. But sometimes, during slow afternoons, I walk through seasonal stock just to stay distracted. I pass the frame displays, prints of lighthouses, beaches, overpriced word art, and sometimes I find things. Tiny, out-of-place snapshots tucked in behind the sample glass, barely visible, always at the edges. Me, Dad, our cabin, that summer. Sometimes it's just trees or blurry corners, but sometimes he's in them, still watching, always just far enough away to make me question everything. I've stopped trying to explain it to anyone. The past doesn't disappear. Sometimes it waits for you to finally turn around. Some people don't want to be remembered. They want to be noticed. And sometimes the scariest thing isn't forgetting someone. It's realizing you never saw them to begin with. The funny thing is, I used to hate water. I was a soda guy. Mountain Dew and microwavable wings used to be the pillars of my diet back when my life still had color. Back when Megan still lived with me in that 2-bedroom rental above the bike shop on Ivy Street. When she left, something cracked loose. Not loudly, not suddenly, but like a slow unthreading. Routines unraveling, habits becoming obsessions. I stopped sleeping, started counting the clicks of the ceiling fan, replaced beer with bottled water because I read somewhere that structure starts small. It had to be Crystal Valley. No other brand felt right. I can't explain it. The label's color, the weight of the plastic, the way the water tasted cleaner, sharper. I bought it in bulk every Sunday from the Costco in Tillamook. Same time, same door. I would walk in with headphones blasting ambient synth tracks, the kind that make you feel like you're alone in space. I'd roll my cart to aisle 24, grab 4 packs, 24 bottles each, and be home by 3:45. It gave my life a rhythm, something no one else could interrupt. Until they did. April 9th. I remember the date because I wrote it in my phone calendar with a single word. Disturbed. The first thing I noticed was the pallet, nearly empty. That never happened. Not at 3:14, Not on a Sunday. Then I saw him. He was tall, almost lanky, skin pale like printer paper. His clothes didn't fit right. Military-style cargo pants that hung loose at the knees and a zip-up that looked like it had been through 100 laundromat cycles. Tattoos covered his hands and wrists. Black ink faded to green as if time had bleached them. But the worst part was his eyes. He never really looked at me. Just through me. He was pushing 2 carts, each overloaded with Crystal Valley water. Stacks of it, enough for a shelter or a small army, and nestled at the edge of the pallet were 2 slightly dented cases, my usual. I reached for them and heard his voice for the first time. "Don't take those." It wasn't a threat. Not exactly, but it stopped me cold. Something about his tone, the casual certainty, like he wasn't warning me, just stating a fact. I said something dumb like, "It's just water, man," and forced a laugh, but he just stared, didn't blink. "I need all of them. You shouldn't drink that one anymore." I didn't respond, just grabbed the cases, tossed them in my cart, and walked away, heart pounding like I'd stolen something. Something sacred. I should have left then. Should have turned around and abandoned those bottles, but I didn't. And I think that's when it started. I didn't see him again until the freezer aisle. His cart was there, unattended, still half full, no sign of him. I lingered for a second, scanning for any trace, but he was gone, like he'd dissolved into the cold air. Then I noticed a Costco employee, young guy in a red vest, standing by the produce section. He wasn't rearranging apples or restocking anything, just watching me. The second our eyes met, he looked away too fast. That's when the unease really settled in. It wasn't just the tattooed man anymore. It was the way the space around him felt like it shifted, like I was on a loop and someone had skipped ahead while I was buffering. I made a beeline for checkout. I needed to get out. I loaded my trunk fast. Too fast. Bottles clanged against the plastic lining. One almost slipped out and cracked on the asphalt. I was slamming the hatch when I heard it again. "I told you not to take those." He was behind me. I spun, adrenaline sharp. He was already reaching into my trunk, gripping one of the cases. His fingers looked gray, like they didn't get blood circulation. I lunged forward. "Hey, that's mine!" He didn't flinch, just looked at me, smile calm, voice low. "It's not for people like you anymore." Then he grabbed both cases, pivoted and walked, fast but precise, toward a battered black Suburban. No plates, no stickers. Just a dented bumper and a faded rearview mirror that flapped like a loose tooth. He threw the water inside, climbed in, and reversed so hard his tires shrieked. I chased him, actually ran, like I could stop him, like this was still normal life and I could yell, "Call the cops, get security." He blew through the exit lane and nearly clipped a woman with a stroller. I stopped short. She screamed. The baby didn't even cry, just blinked like nothing happened. Police came. I gave a statement. They took me seriously. Until they didn't. Costco security checked the footage. "There's no footage of you in aisle 24, they said. I blinked. "What do you mean?" "No man with carts, no altercation. You didn't show up on camera until checkout." I asked if the system had glitched. They shrugged. "Maybe," one of them said, "but usually when it does, the cameras just freeze. Yours didn't freeze. They were recording. Just nothing showed." I wanted to believe it was a system bug, a weird malfunction, maybe even an elaborate prank, but something deeper in me, something wired to truth, knew that wasn't it. And that was just the beginning. A week later, Crystal Valley vanished from Costco shelves. I showed up at 3:10 like always. The pallet was gone, the aisle rearranged. Someone had swapped in a different brand, Blue Horizon or something. The kind of generic bulk water that smells like plastic and tastes like wet cardboard. I asked a floor worker where the Crystal Valley went. He frowned like the name didn't register. "Think it got pulled. Something about tank residue?" That night, I dug around online. Local health board flagged a batch for possible chemical leaching. Apparently, an old transport tank hadn't been flushed properly. But the report was vague. No formal recall, just temporary removal pending investigation. It didn't feel like a contamination issue. It felt targeted. I started dreaming about the Suburban, about the man's hands, pale, tendony, flexing around the plastic handles. Sometimes I'd hear his voice in the silence between browser tabs or echoing between audiobook chapters. "It's not for people like you anymore." The phrase sat with me, unsettled me, like I'd been marked or dismissed from something I didn't even know I was part of. 3 days later, I saw the car again, not at Costco. Outside my apartment. It was parked across the street, engine running, driver's side window cracked. I walked past it slowly, phone out, pretending to scroll. I glanced. Same dent in the bumper, same dangling mirror, no plates. The windows were tinted too dark to see in, but I knew it was him. I called non-emergency police. They said they'd send a patrol to check the area. That was at 6:42 p.m. By the time they showed up at 7:10, the Suburban was gone. I stopped going to Costco. I started ordering water online. Not Crystal Valley. Couldn't even find it on Amazon anymore. My days grew quieter, but not calmer. I triple-locked my door, drew blinds during daylight, started parking 4 blocks away just to switch up my rhythm. But even then, once a week, the car would show. Always around 3:30 p.m. Always idling, never approaching, until last Tuesday. I stepped outside for air, just to feel wind on my skin. The Suburban was parked right across from my front walk. This time, the door was open, and something sat in the seat. A case of Crystal Valley water, dented, familiar. Like it was the exact pack I'd tried to take. There was a piece of paper taped to it. No writing, just a rough circle drawn in red marker, slashed through. A warning, a symbol, or maybe both. I didn't touch it, just backed away, called the cops again, filed another report. Nothing came of it. No prints, no license, no leads. It's not for people like me anymore. Whatever that means, I believe it now. I've stopped trying to explain it to people. I don't tell the full story. Just say I had a strange run-in at Costco. Most people nod politely and change the subject. The ones who push for details always react the same. Confusion, followed by skepticism, followed by that subtle facial shift. The one that means they've quietly decided I'm paranoid. Maybe I am. But I keep the original receipt from that day, folded in my desk drawer. Time-stamped. Barcode intact. Proof I was there, even if the footage says otherwise. And I still hear that voice sometimes. Not in dreams anymore. In gaps, pauses, between traffic noise or during static on an old playlist. It's not for people like you anymore. Maybe it never was. Maybe Crystal Valley wasn't just water. Maybe it was something coded, filtered, tracked. Maybe that man was a handler or a courier or something older, something quieter, something that doesn't belong in systems, only in shadows. All I know is, I haven't touched bottled water since, and the Suburban hasn't come back, yet. But I don't go to Costco. Don't walk aisle 24. I drink tap now, filtered, unlabeled. Because whatever was in that water, it wanted something, and I was never supposed to have it. Not everything that feels good is meant for you. Some patterns, some routines, and some people are warnings in disguise. When something tells you to let go, it might be wiser to listen before you learn why. Most people say burnout creeps up on you slow and quiet like a leaking pipe under the floorboards. But mine felt like an explosion. 3 years of back-to-back grief counseling for high schoolers who'd lost classmates in a bus crash. 1 year of pandemic trauma management. 6 months of helping kids process lockdown, violence, and uncertainty. Then a single morning in January, I just stopped. I walked into the counselor's office at Jefferson High, took one look at the file stack on my desk, and felt something inside me break in half. I left before second period, never went back. The official report said, mental health leave, Unofficially, I was cracked open and bleeding anxiety in every direction. My therapist, Michelle, said I needed a change of environment and routine, less human intensity, more repetition, safe rituals. So I moved east, to a rental in Rancho Cucamonga, just far enough from the school, the gossip, and the pressure. There was a hill behind my apartment complex, mostly rock and brush, but quiet. My new life became about simplicity, microwave meals, sunrise walks, online therapy, and one weekly trip to Costco, Thursdays at 7:40 p.m., 30 minutes before closing. Never earlier, never later. It made me feel in control, until one week I wasn't. It started with a face. That Thursday, March 28th, I entered through the side pharmacy doors, like always. The air was cool, almost sharp from the open fridge units. I moved slowly, no rush, no crowd. My heart liked this rhythm, predictable, comforting. But when I rounded the corner near the outdoor patio furniture, I saw a man standing there, still, not browsing, not moving, just watching. He had a shaved head, pale skin, and arms folded over a gray hoodie. No cart, no employee vest. He wasn't looking directly at me, but his body faced the aisle I was in. It made me pause. I kept walking, told myself not to spiral. Hypervigilance, Michelle would say. There isn't any. Trauma trains your brain to scan for danger even when... So I kept shopping. Picked up trail mix, yogurt, a rotisserie chicken. Then by the refrigerated cheese I saw him again. Only this time it was a reflection, in the glass door behind me. Standing behind a concrete column, staring. I spun around. Nothing. No one. I left my cart right there, walked calmly to self-checkout. I lied to the cashier, said I forgot something at home. I swiped my card with trembling fingers, eyes darting across every visible aisle. I half ran to my car, and then I heard him, right behind me. You always come on Thursdays. My breath stopped. He was standing 6 feet from me, blank face, calm, like someone observing insects in a jar. What do you want? I said. My voice cracked like glass under pressure. He tilted his head. You don't close your blinds. It wasn't just the words. It was how he said them, like he already lived inside my life. I screamed, dropped my keys. A couple, maybe in their 40s, ran over. The man turned without panic, walked to a black hatchback with red tape where the plates should be, and drove off like he had all the time in the world. Security showed up after 10 minutes. They checked the lot, the cameras, my membership history. We were updating the server system, one guard said. Nothing recorded, sorry ma'am. No footage of him, none of me either. I filed a police report. They were polite, efficient, and distant. No threats, no contact info, no fingerprints. It was labeled suspicious behavior, no immediate danger. I started closing my blinds, got a doorbell cam, changed locations. Now I went to the Claremont Costco, usually mornings, bright and full of people. The ritual changed, but the fear didn't. It settled in, quiet and heavy like dust on an untouched shelf. Then came the Tuesday after Easter. I was asleep when my phone buzzed. 3:08 a.m. Notification. Person detected. Front door. I opened the app. The footage was just 1 second. 1 second of his face pressed against my peephole. Grinning, not knocking, not moving, just looking. I'm better now. At least that's what I say out loud. I keep my blinds shut, door locked, and lights on past midnight. I sleep with pepper spray on my nightstand. I haven't been back to that Costco. I switched to grocery delivery. And I no longer tell myself that patterns protect me. Because that's the part no one warns you about. Stalkers don't follow rules. They don't care about store hours or rituals or how many security updates are installed on a server. They live in the cracks of your assumptions. It wasn't my schedule that betrayed me. It was thinking a routine could hide me. Routine brings peace, but don't confuse it with safety. You can control your calendar, your groceries, even your blinds. But true security comes from vigilance, boundaries, and listening to your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't rationalize danger into a coincidence. Protect your peace, but don't become predictable inside it, because someone out there may be watching, waiting for the moment you forget to lock the window. Long before the blood and shadows, there was just me, my daughter, and Costco. My name's Savannah Clark. I'm 31, divorced, and I bake. Not fancy pastries like those Instagram bakers with perfect hair and marble counters. I prep giant trays of croissants, cookies, and muffins for the Costco in Kapolei, Hawaii, every day from dawn to closing, on my feet. It wasn't always like this. 2 years ago, I was married, teaching preschool, living in a small house with a fig tree out front and an herb garden my daughter and I planted. Then the economy tanked, the school cut hours, and my husband's temper started to flare more often than the stove. The divorce came after one too many slammed doors and one glass too many shattered on the kitchen tile. I took Mia, my daughter, and left. He got supervised visits until he got arrested for assaulting someone outside a bar in Pearl City. 9 months in OCCC. Last I heard, he was still in. So now it's just me and Mia, and Costco. Costco was supposed to be my second chance. Stability, health benefits, predictable hours. I landed the bakery assistant job 6 months after the divorce, and I've clung to it like a lifeline ever since. My rent kept climbing, Mia's asthma got worse, and my car wouldn't start more often than it would. But work? Work was routine, familiar, safe, until recently. It started with small things. A pallet of sugar shifted, a bag of flour opened wrong, a serrated knife left in the wrong tray. That kind of stuff's easy to blame on tired hands or a rushed shift. But then there was the croissant, ripped right down the middle like someone tore into it with bare hands, then left it sitting there. No one fessed up. Cameras hadn't caught anything. Last week I noticed something worse. Every time I stayed late, I felt it, watched, like someone was just beyond the corner of the prep area. Sometimes I'd catch a shadow in the convex mirror above the sink, gone before I turned. I brushed it off. Probably stress. God knew I wasn't sleeping. Not with Mia coughing half the night and bills choking my inbox like weeds. The night everything really began was a Thursday. June. Just after 8:30 p.m., I wasn't supposed to be there that late. Had promised Mia we'd finish her solar system project and watch Moana together. But my closing partner called out last minute, and the manager gave me that look. So I stayed. Alone. Again. I was halfway through rolling croissant dough when I felt it. A cold draft, then the strange weight of silence. No ovens humming, no carts squeaking, no overhead announcements. Just me. And the mirror. I saw it then. A shape, long, still, in the dark beyond the bakery doors, where the freezer cases line up next to the cereal aisle. Not moving, just there. I blinked. Gone. My hands shook as I pulled off my gloves. "Get it together," I whispered. "You're just tired." It was 8:52 when I left for the restroom. The store lights had already dimmed. Only one register still open. I passed the cereal aisle and heard something fall. A box, maybe. I stopped. There was a man standing at the end of the aisle, facing the shelves, tall, still as stone. I called out, "We're closing in 10 minutes, sir." No reply, no movement. I turned away, chilled to my spine, and went to the restroom. 3 minutes later, I came back. No man. But on the freezer door, beside the bakery entrance, was a bloody fingerprint. Fresh. Still wet. Just one. I told security. They brushed it off. Nothing on the feeds. Systems rebooting. Blackout earlier, the guard muttered. I begged the manager to check. He just said, "Head out early next time." "You're probably just overtired, Savannah. Maybe back at my station the oven was on. 425 degrees. No timer, no trays inside, just heat, rolling thick and steady from the vents. And someone had scratched something into the flour dust on the prep table. I like it warm in here." I didn't go back to work the next day. Instead, I sat in my kitchen holding my phone, staring at the last text I'd sent my sister Lila. "Come pick me up. Don't ask questions." She never replied. 20 minutes. That's how long I waited by the loading dock behind Costco after that shift. She never showed. I called her, straight to voicemail. I texted again. No answer. At 11:30 p.m., a chill crawled up my spine. I called a rideshare and went home to Mia, who was curled up on the couch in her pajamas, sleeping under a blanket, the iPad still clutched in her hands. I let her sleep. I couldn't. The next morning, police found Lila's car abandoned off a back road between Kapolei and Nanakuli. Driver's door open, keys still in the ignition, her purse untouched. But what really made my knees give out? Mia's school backpack sitting in the passenger seat. She'd left it in Lila's car 2 days ago, which meant Lila had picked her up from school, not me, not daycare, her. But I was the one working. Lila had said she'd help. Something didn't make sense. The officer on the case, Detective Kamaka, was kind but skeptical. No signs of foul play. Could have wandered off. Maybe a mental health episode. You sure she wasn't going through something? I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, she doesn't just vanish, she has a daughter of her own. That night, Mia slept in my bed. I sat up in the living room with the lights on, knife on the table, and every window locked. I played the shift over and over in my mind. The croissant, the oven, the fingerprint. I needed answers. So I went back to work. But I didn't close. Not again. And I started asking around. It started with Camilo, the night janitor. He was mopping the loading bay when I pulled him aside. "Did you see anything weird Thursday night in the bakery or after closing?" His mop paused. He looked up, dead serious. "Like, what kind of weird?" "A man, tall, dark clothes, might have been bleeding." He swallowed. "I don't know about bleeding, but yeah, I saw someone. Thought it was a manager, standing near the bakery freezer. Didn't talk, just stood there for like 5 minutes, then gone." I didn't want to say anything, didn't want to sound crazy. I wasn't alone. That weekend, I overheard 2 night shift shelf stockers whispering near the walk-in cooler. One of them, Rosalie, swore someone kept turning on oven controls during the last hour of her shift. She'd reset them, go back to boxes, come back, hot again. They thought it was a prank, but the fear in her eyes told me it wasn't. It all came crashing down when the detective came back with results. The fingerprint? It matched my ex-husband. I laughed at first. That's impossible. He's in jail. Was, Kamaka corrected. He was released 2 weeks ago, early, good behavior. He showed me the paper. My stomach turned to stone. He was out, and I hadn't been told. Suddenly the noise in the aisles, the man who wouldn't turn around, the oven, the flour, all of it felt different. Not supernatural, just cruel, real. I started checking every door, every night. I put cameras in my apartment, changed locks, had Mia sleep in my room. Still, I could feel it, that he was watching, waiting. 3 days ago he showed up again, not at work, at my home. I found a crumpled Costco receipt on my porch. My schedule was circled, in red ink. The bottom had another fingerprint, blood, again. I took Mia and drove straight to my mom's, but that night, the oven in the bakery turned itself on again. 425 degrees, on camera this time. No one touched it. They watched the tape. There was nothing there, just the heat, and a shadow in the reflection of the oven door. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it walks beside you, lives with you, pretends to love you, and when it leaves, it doesn't always stay gone. But strength? It's what you build when no one else believes you. When you're tired, scared, and still show up. For your child, for yourself. Don't ignore the little things. The shadow in the mirror, the cold where there shouldn't be, the warmth someone else might be waiting for, and never, ever close alone. long before I ended up working behind the glass booth at the Costco Tire Center on South Alvarado. I thought I'd spend my life fixing things that were truly broken. Bent axles, burnt plugs, radiators split down the middle like cracked bones. I used to work roadside and always sweating through shirts in traffic or under cold rain, crawling under cars with just a flashlight in my mouth and a wrench in my hand. It was honest work, but it wore me out. Not just the hours or the grime that never fully left my skin. It was the people, too loud, too close, too much. See, I have this thing, not a diagnosis, just something I know about myself. I don't do well with people. I stumble over small talk. I overthink everything. And I hate being looked at for too long like I owe someone an explanation I don't know how to give. So when Costco called me for a part-time gig in their tire center, I took it. Quiet booth, set schedule, good money, less face time. Perfect. It was the kind of place where you could lose yourself in the rhythm. Log in, check work orders, torque specs, tire rotations, pressure checks, and paperwork. Every now and then, someone would ask about their windshield wipers or complain about wait times. But mostly, it was just the low hum of drills and the smell of rubber and oil. And then he started showing up. Mid-50s, beige windbreaker, beige pants, beige face. Like God shaded him in with a single marker. He drove a clean white Mazda CX-5 and always pulled up slow, careful, like he was afraid of disturbing something. His complaint never changed. Rear left tire feels off, he'd say. Might be leaking. I'd check. Pressure was fine. Tread was even. No visible damage. Sometimes I'd rotate it just to give him peace of mind. You're all set, I'd say. Nothing wrong. He'd nod like he expected that answer, then smile. Not warm, just satisfied. Thanks, he'd say. I just wanted to be safe. 6 visits in 2 months, always 2 weeks apart. Same story, same tire, same time of day. My coworker Maya joked about it once. You think he's lonely? Just wants someone to talk to? But he never stayed long enough to chat. He'd leave before I could even print the report. After the 5th visit, I started writing his license plate down. Not for any real reason, just a gut thing. I ran it through the system. Nothing came up. No membership attached, no name. He paid cash every time. Still, I chalked it up to weird but harmless. Until the 6th visit. It was a Tuesday, the slow kind of morning that made you question if your shift had even started yet. I took my break at 1:30, walked across the lot, grabbed a bottled coffee, and leaned against the far wall in the sun for a while. October in LA hits different. Still warm, still dry. You'd think it was May if the leaves didn't try pretending otherwise. When I came back, Maya flagged me down. Her eyebrows were bunched. That guy, she said. Beige guy, he just walked right past me. Wait, inside? I asked. He went into the bay? She nodded. Didn't say a word. He's standing by the tire racks. I felt my throat tighten. The service bay's off limits to customers, safety policy, cameras, signs. I jogged over. There he was, alone, facing the back wall. Still, like he'd been waiting for a spotlight to hit him. Sir, I called, keeping my voice even. This area's restricted. He didn't move. For a second, I thought he didn't hear me. Then he turned. Not fast, just turned. Like an afterthought. And then he whispered, "One of them remembers me." I blinked. What? He motioned to the stack of discarded tires behind him. The back left, he said, pulls toward the side of the road. I replaced it 10 years ago, after the crash. But it still pulls. Always. There was a look in his eyes, not fear, not guilt, recognition. I checked his license again, same white Mazda, same plate, but something wasn't adding up. That model year, released only 5 years ago. I know cars. I know what they look like when they've aged. This one hadn't. He left without saying goodbye. I checked the service orders again. Still no record of his name, no membership. Nothing. That night, I stayed a little later than I had to. And when I was locking up, I found it. It was jammed in the tread of a scrapped Goodyear Eagle, something from a 2006 sedan. A locket. Small and silver, dented and rusted at the clasp. I almost missed it. I took it inside and pried it open with a flathead. Inside, a tiny photo. A woman, maybe late 30s, holding a little girl in her arms. Both smiling, happy, warm, but the locket looked like it had been run over, crushed, twisted. I showed it to Maya. She froze. "Wait," she said. "That's her. The woman from the hit and run. They had a photo on the news last month, remember? Baldwin Hills. She was walking her daughter to preschool." I remembered, vaguely. Woman killed. Daughter survived. Witnesses mentioned a white SUV speeding off. They never caught the driver. That night, I drove home with my stomach in knots. I replayed the man's words in my head. It wants to go back. Back where? I didn't sleep much. Next morning, I called the non-emergency LAPD tip line, told them what I'd found. They took a report, said someone would follow up. No one did. That Friday, everything felt heavier. Maya called out sick. I worked the booth alone. At 6:47 p.m., just as we were closing, the white Mazda pulled in. I stepped outside. No one was driving. The engine was off, doors locked, windows up. I reached for the radio to call security. Then the power flickered. Not in the whole building, just the booth, just the cameras, 17 seconds of static. When the feed returned, the Mazda was gone. No engine sounds, no exit, no tracks, just gone. But on my stool, inside the booth, right where I always sat, was the locket. Cleaned, polished, open. The photo looked clearer now, like it had just been developed. And behind it, a tiny piece of paper folded in half. I opened it. Written in fine, careful handwriting were 4 words: "Not all ghosts haunt." The car never came back. Not to our center anyway. A week later, I checked the lot cameras for myself, pulled the footage. Still the same glitch, still no trace of the man leaving. I ran the license plate through a friend who works DMV backend. She found it. Registered to a deceased man in Riverside. Died in 2014. Car totaled in a fatal accident that same year. Guess which tire blew out? Rear left. After that, I stopped asking questions I didn't want answers to. I gave the locket to the police again. This time, they logged it, took a statement, promised follow-up, but I never heard back. Now, when customers come in with vague tire issues, I check a little slower, listen a little longer. Not every complaint is mechanical. Some things just linger. The past doesn't always stay buried, especially when the road still remembers. What we bury in silence has a way of resurfacing, not to scare us, but to be seen, heard, and maybe forgiven. If I'm being honest, I was never supposed to be working that Thursday night. My name's Brandon Lynn. I'm 19, barely surviving community college, and until recently, I worked part-time pushing carts at Costco in Anaheim Hills, California. One of those giant stores at the edge of a freeway where the lights hum louder than the customers, and the air smells like hot pizza, brake fluid, and detergent. I wasn't supposed to be there because I had a calculus quiz the next morning that I hadn't studied for. Because my mom's insurance paperwork had to be filed by midnight. Because the financial aid office was threatening to pull my grant unless I uploaded some IRS form I couldn't find. But money wins. Always. My car's a joke. Gas prices weren't laughing. So when I saw the shift posted, Thursday, 3:30 to close, I signed up, thinking I could make it all work. Just a few hours, just carts. Anaheim Hills quiets down fast after 8 p.m. By 9, the parking lot is mostly shadows, and the only sounds are the cartwheels bouncing off uneven asphalt and the occasional hawk calling from somewhere in the canyon behind the lot. The regular crowd, families with overfilled carts, retirees stacking 40 packs of bottled water, is long gone. It's just a few stragglers, Maybe one or two people hanging around hoping for a hot dog at the food court before they closed the doors. That night, the sky looked weird. Not stormy exactly, but green-gray. The kind of color you see right before the rain starts and traffic doubles. Wind was picking up too. You could hear the signage above the loading dock creaking. I had just pushed the last line of carts into their holding corral when I saw it. A van, navy blue. No lights, no sound, just parked in row D. Facing the wrong direction, like whoever parked it didn't care about lanes or protocol. Costco staff always park back in. This was nose first. Awkward. Off. I figured it was someone checking their phone. Maybe a shopper stalling until their partner came out. I ignored it. 5 minutes later, I looked again. The van was gone, but one of the carts I had just stacked was missing. Now look, carts go rogue all the time, especially when there's wind. But this cart was at the end of my train, locked in with the belt clip. You don't just lose one unless someone yanks it out on purpose. I searched the lot, not panicked but alert. That strange quiet had settled in, the kind where every sound seems too loud. Shoes on asphalt, flags rustling overhead. Then I found it. Row H, 7 rows from where I'd left the cart, just sitting there, in front of a dark gray sedan that hadn't been there earlier. Inside the cart, under the seat flap, was a folded Costco return slip, with my name printed on it. The date on the slip? 2 weeks ago, a day I didn't even work. I froze, checked my phone, thought maybe someone was messing with me. But there was no group chat ping, no prankster nearby filming a TikTok. Just me, the cart, and that sedan. I walked it back in toward the loading zone, told Greg, my shift supervisor. He laughed, called it nerves. Teenagers with finals always get jumpy, he said, like I was just imagining it all. Then he offered me a 10-minute break. But I didn't want to go inside anymore. I wanted to leave. Because something wasn't adding up, and the night wasn't over. I stuck close to the pharmacy side exit, pretending to rearrange the cart line while I kept my eyes on the far end of the lot. That's when I saw the Navy van again. This time closer, 2 rows from the entrance, parked under a burnt-out light. It wasn't running, no movement, just there. I stepped back into the building, called over another cart pusher, Jordan, told him what I saw. He shrugged. Could be Instacart. Some of them chill in vans and wait to get batch orders. Facing the wrong way? I asked. He didn't answer. I stepped out again slowly. This time I looked directly at the driver's side. There was someone in the seat, motionless. No phone, no drink, hands on the wheel. And then the driver turned his head, slowly. Too slowly. And I swear, his head tilted, just slightly, like a dog listening to a high-pitched noise. No blink, no change in posture, just that long face, pale outline, jaw sharp, exaggerated by the shadows. I backed up. Didn't run, just walked fast, told Greg again. He didn't even look this time, just sighed and waved me off. In the break room if it helps. Take the break, Brandon. Go chill. I didn't. I waited near the side entrance watching the van, but within minutes it was gone. No engine sound, no brake lights, just gone. 10 minutes later, another worker, Marta from membership, stepped outside. "Hey dude," she called, "your car lights are on." I looked at her. I didn't drive, I biked. She blinked. "Then somebody's jacking your ride." We walked to the corral where I always lock it. The bike was gone. Chain cut clean, bent on the ground like a snapped wishbone. In its place was a Costco receipt, taped to a peanut butter jar. Same brand we sell. My name on the slip. Again. But under the items list, someone had typed, "Weight matched, size acceptable, watch your shifts." I called the police. A young officer took the report, barely hiding his boredom. Said it was probably a prank, maybe a coworker copying my ID tag. Said I'd probably find the bike in the bushes tomorrow. I didn't. and I didn't go back to work the next day. For the next few nights, I barely slept. I kept refreshing my Costco account. Every employee gets one link to their schedule, and nothing changed. No weird hours, no new activity. But I couldn't shake it. The van, the slips, the peanut butter jar. Then, a week later, I got an email. Thank you for reinstating your night availability. I never submitted a change in schedule. I clicked through my employee portal. Sure enough, the system said I had accepted 3 closing shifts in the upcoming week. I called HR, left a voicemail. They didn't call back. That night, my mom called me from the backyard. "Brandon," she said, holding something. "Did you leave this out here?" It was the same peanut butter jar, empty, clean. A folded receipt was inside, same message, same timestamp. 9:12 p.m. I formally quit Costco the next morning, marched in, cleaned out my locker, told Greg I wasn't returning. He didn't look surprised. He said, "Sometimes people aren't built for nights." I told him this wasn't about the hours. He just nodded, like he'd heard it before. On my way out, I checked the cart corral. There was a Navy van parked in the furthest row of the employee lot. No plates, just a white sticker on the back. It read, "Clearance, Brandon Lynn." I walked away without looking back. It's been 4 months. I'm back in school full-time, working at a tutoring center now. No carts, no late-night parking lots, but sometimes I still get them. Emails, receipts, strange jars left by the fence, always with the same warning. Weight matched, size acceptable. I started weighing myself every week. Nothing changes. 143 pounds, just like the receipt said. It's like someone picked me, measured me, entered me into something I didn't agree to. I asked around, quietly, heard whispers about other stores, other employees getting slips like mine, van sightings, items left in weird places, but no one reports it. Because who would believe us? Not every job lets you clock out. Sometimes we offer up pieces of ourselves for money and something starts taking more than we bargained for. Don't ignore what feels wrong. Don't stay silent just to keep a paycheck. And if a van ever follows you, don't turn your back. Before the fluorescent lights, before the company-wide databases and route manifests, I existed in a haze of community college corridors and anxious mornings. My first semester unraveled under the weight of panic attacks and self-doubt. I withdrew, retreated home to Florida, and spent 6 months rebuilding my life in small, measured steps. So when I landed the internship with Costco's corporate logistics team in Fort Lauderdale, it felt like a second shot, maybe the one that would stick. They seated me in the corner of a windowless office at the distribution center on SW 30th Avenue. My workspace overlooked rows of humming servers and outdated printer banks, all under a ceiling that vibrated slightly with the pulse of warehouse life. Vending machine coffee tasted stale and bitter, but I drank it because it looked and felt like adult responsibility. I spent my mornings inputting shipping routes, tagging regional reports, and learning the arcane language of logistics from Marcus, the second-year intern from Colorado. He had an easy smile, that low Colorado drawl, and a fondness for joking about route ghosts and obscured corridors in the warehouse blueprint. I didn't believe in ghosts yet, but I appreciated his humor. It made the droning monotony feel human. Armed with Excel, I shadowed him on route planning. He showed me how each truck had a story. Departure times, tonnage, time windows, stops, return status. By the end of week 3, we were hitting deadlines, my confidence building in small increments. The formulas worked, the reports compiled, the routes optimized. But around week 6, something changed. Late Thursday morning, Marcus stopped laughing. He sat at his desk, face drained of color, with raw energy humming between his fingers. His eyes flicked to the corner of the security camera zone near the server bank. I went quiet. He closed the Excel sheet I'd been watching him use. He didn't meet my eyes. Finally, in a voice that trembled low, he said, I think I rerouted something that wasn't supposed to exist. I didn't mean to. It was just a late Florida truck. My pulse spiked. I asked him what he meant, but he shook his head. When I looked at his screen, it was empty. He stared at the cursor. I tried to brush it off as anxiety, but he looked scared, like something was watching. By Friday afternoon, dread started sinking in. 3 trucks went dark. GPS cut out mid-route. The dispatch map showed them heading to a location no one recognized. An unmarked plot in Dania Beach said to be an old overflow facility sold off years ago. I called the local team. HR told me the facility didn't exist. The address came back as empty land. Weird. But I still thought this was a mistake. Bad database upload, stale GPS entries, some glitch. That Monday morning, Marcus didn't show up. His desk was empty. The servers buzzed overhead like nothing had changed. Later, management came in for a closed-door meeting. We were told to avoid discussing routes or security cameras. When I tried to ask Ms. Harrow about Marcus, she froze, eyes pinning me to my chair. She said flatly, "There's no Marcus in this program, Cameron. You're not assigned to anyone." She opened my personnel file, deleted the logs marked under Marcus's name, the ones we'd worked on together, then shut the laptop without another word. I felt my world shift beneath me. It was like steam leaving the room. And it wasn't just him erased from the system, it was me too. It made me rethink everything, my recreated life, that shaky confidence I felt building brick by tiny brick. Drive home that night was a soliloquy of doubt. Route ghosts, non-existent trucks, no official record, no trail. I clutched the printed shuttle schedule stuffed in my backpack, Route 7, GPS check-ins, names listed, terminal staff, driver numbers. And there, in ink, Marcus Dahl, intern. I tried calling HR again. They said there was no Marcus Dahl, no records, not as an intern, not as a temp, not even in the directory. My shirt damp at the collar, I sat on my twin bed in the apartment, full of lonely boxes, IKEA leftovers, and the echoes of my own hopes. I turned on ambient music, but it didn't stick. Days passed. Then I started noticing odd moments. My badge began flashing red when I walked near the Dania Beach coordinates. No trucks, no employees, just the lot with a chain across it and a warehouse long closed. I felt like someone was watching me, unseen. And at night, I dreamed of warehouse aisles, flickering overhead fluorescents, pallet racks stacked to the ceiling. My badge would beep, access denied, then footsteps. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I went back to the center one Saturday morning, unscheduled, off the clock, full of anxious purpose. The security desk told me all weekend access was disabled, but I used my badge anyway. It lit red when I approached the old Dania Beach coordinates on the warehouse terminal. I heard a low hum as if electricity hummed in the dark beyond the warehouse door. I swiped again, a faint beep. Not access granted, just acknowledgement. Inside, I saw nothing. Empty rows of pallets. My footsteps echoed. I remembered Marcus's words. It wasn't supposed to exist. Before I left, I searched the camera records. A single glitch. 17 seconds missing. 3 trucks, rerouted. The camera feed had frozen, at least twice near 3:15 p.m. Later, I collected everything. Terminal logs, bus schedule, GPS printouts, my badge scans. I stapled them together, took them to my supervisor, to the regional logistics head, to HR again. They said they would look into it, but nobody did. My calls weren't returned. Weeks later, I was back at my desk, computing reports, feeling smaller than before. Marcus remained a ghost, a glitch in the system I'd believed in. But sometimes at 7:43 a.m., the badge on my lanyard would flash red, not blue or green. And for a second, I'd feel hands tapping on the other side of my cubicle wall, like someone just walked by. A few weeks after I left the internship early, again, back to rebuilding, I got a call. A quiet voice. "You shouldn't have looked." No sound on the line but my breath. And sometimes, I swear, if I'm alone and the air is still, I can hear that backup beep from a delivery truck and a quiet whisper. Cameron. I buried my faith in real jobs, in systems, in warranties. Anxiety taught me caution, but this taught me that some routes end where they were never meant to go. And some ghosts don't live in spirit. They live in data, buried in servers and routing tables. Even the cleanest records can hide secrets. What you believe is real can vanish in a blink, so always question the routes you take and the system you trust. Long before I became a stalker at Costco, I wore a different kind of uniform, navy blue with security stitched above the heart. I worked the overnight shift at a level wine trauma hospital in Phoenix, a place where adrenaline never slept and the lights never dimmed. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't safe. But it paid the bills, and I liked knowing I was the first line of defense between chaos and calm. Then came that night in 2021. A patient, high on something strong, stormed into the ER with a broken bottle and rage in his eyes. He didn't care who was in his way. I tried to stop him. I really did. But by the time backup arrived, 2 nurses were hurt, and I had a cracked rib and a lifetime subscription to nightmares. I quit 2 weeks later. Moved back to Casa Grande. Thought a quieter life would be better. I took the overnight stalker job at the Costco on Coolidge Avenue. No sirens, no blood, no screaming. Just pallets, forklifts, and big box silence. Or so I thought. When I first clocked in at Costco, it felt like the closest thing to peace I'd had in years. The building was massive and empty, save for the 5 others on my shift. We weren't a tight crew, but we all understood one thing: the quiet is sacred. I got used to the rhythm quickly. Boxes off the truck by 11:45. Pallet staged by 1 wow, break at 3:30, floor scrubber starts its run around 4 wow. The others did their thing. Val ran the clipboard, Dave argued with vending machines, Lenny practically lived in dry foods. It was simple. And simple was what I needed. But the first strange thing I noticed wasn't dramatic. It was just wrong. A pallet of protein shakes had the shrink wrap slid open when I got to it. I figured I'd made a mistake, maybe cut it the night before and forgot. PTSD plays with your head that way, makes you doubt the little stuff. But the next night it happened again, then again. And it wasn't just protein shakes anymore. Odd item groupings started showing up. A cart abandoned near the pharmacy had 2 jumbo packs of diapers and a rotisserie chicken. Another one by the fish counter had scented candles and charcoal. I asked Val about it. Could be loss prevention running drills, she said, not looking up from her tablet. Sometimes. See if we're paying attention. They do that, but there was nothing on the log. And that wasn't the last time I saw the cart. It was a Tuesday night when I found the cart in the dairy aisle, 2:17 a.m. to be exact. The same black cart, the same oddly stacked items, and now a black jacket hanging from the handle. It was zipped up, looked warm, maybe a little too clean for warehouse work. I reached out to touch it, still warm. I stood there scanning the aisle, empty, fluorescent lights humming above. I waited. 5 minutes passed. No one came for the jacket. That's when I started asking around again. Maybe someone from receiving came in for a double shift. I asked Victor, the night manager. He shook his head. Nah, nobody extra tonight. You sure it wasn't one of our guys? I knew our guys, 6 of us total. Nobody wore that kind of jacket, especially not in this heat. That night I dreamed I was back in the ER. Only instead of patients, the halls were filled with shopping carts, and everyone had a jacket on it. 3 nights after the jacket, things changed. Not in a big way, just subtle. Like the warehouse itself was holding its breath. I was in aisle 42, restocking almond milk, when I heard it. Whispering. It wasn't clear, more like the soft drag of breath forming half sounds. I ripped out my earbuds, held my breath, and waited. Nothing. I thought maybe it was coming through the vents. The warehouse has a weird echo, especially in the back corners. But when I stepped into the main aisle, It stopped. Later, as I clocked out, I caught Val by the time clock. Anyone else mention weird stuff? Carts moved, stuff restocked, voices? She raised an eyebrow. You good, Brent? Yeah. I lied. Something. Just thinking maybe I need new headphones. Picking up static, or she gave me that look. The one that says she knows better but won't press. Get some sleep. But I didn't. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that whisper. And the jacket. It all snapped the following week. 3:30 a.m. My break. I headed to the break room like always. As I opened the door, I froze. My chair, my usual seat, jacket draped over it, same black jacket. But that wasn't the worst of it. Next to the chair sat a styrofoam cup, half full of milk, same brand I bought from the store. And next to that, a folded Costco receipt. I picked it up. My hands were shaking. It had my name on it, but not my Costco ID number, my old hospital badge number, the one I hadn't seen in 2 years. I bolted straight to Victor's office, but the lights were off. Door unlocked, no one inside. His car was still in the lot, but Victor? Never seen again. The cameras later showed him entering the cold storage area at 2:47 a.m. No footage of him leaving. I quit a week later, no notice. Just walked out after my shift, dropped my badge at Val's desk, and never looked back. No one pressed me for an exit interview. Sometimes I drive by that Costco, usually after visiting my therapist in Chandler. Can't help it. My eyes drift to the far edge of the lot, near the loading bay, and every time, I swear, I see a single cart. Black jacket over the handle. Still, waiting. Silence can heal, but it can also hide. We choose solitude to escape the noise, the chaos, the pain. But even in silence, the past finds a way back in. Whether it's trauma, guilt, or something worse, it lingers in the corners we refuse to look. The lesson? Don't run from your past. Face it, name it, heal it. Because if you don't, it might come looking for you, even in the coldest, quietest corners of a Costco.